This airport is the busiest in the Philippines and is of course its primary international gateway. The name, Ninoy Aquino International Airport, or NAIA for short, but still referred to as Manila International Airport or MIA by abbreviation. However, we will call it in this video as Nichols International Airport or simply Nichols Airport. Ever since the turn of the 20th century and transition to the 21st century, Nichols Airport has expanded, lagged, and improved at the same time. However, despite improvements made to this government institution, the airport still continues to lag in terms of capacity and crowding. As we all know, Nichols International Airport is now facing overcapacity issues as well as overcrowding issues. Because of these two issues, they, along with other bad elements, have landed Nichols International Airport to be among the worst in Asia and the world. With this myriad of problems that are plaguing Nichols International Airport, the Philippine government has made up and drawn plans to construct airports in order to relieve congestion of Nichols International Airport. These airports are Clark International Airport in Angeles City, Pampanga, Subic Bay International Airport in Subic Bay, Zambales, Sangli Airport in Sangli Point, Cavite, and the upcoming Bulacan International Airport, which would become the new Manila International Airport, constructed off the shores of Bulacan Province. Now let's talk about one particular airport in this list, Bulacan Airport, aka New Manila International Airport. If this new airport opens, then we will have two airports serving both Metro Manila and the Greater Manila area. There would be also calls to close Nichols International Airport. However, this will be countered by more calls to demand that Nichols Airport remain open as a secondary airport for both Metro Manila and the Greater Manila area, with the New Manila Airport acting as the primary international gateway and primary airport of both areas. Now, here's my biggest and most reasonable suggestion for this issue. If the New Manila International Airport opens, then Nichols International Airport should remain open as a secondary airport for economic reasons, so more people will have jobs. While maintaining its status and designation as an international airport, Nichols must continue to remain open and operational, wherein it caters to a majority domestic traffic, or in short, entirely domestic flights, with a select few or small percent of international flights flying in and out of that airport. Simultaneously, Nichols can also function as a maintenance-based airport, wherein Lufthansa Technic Philippines, Macro Asia, and SIA Engineering Philippines will continue their maintenance works and operations there too. In addition to that, Nichols can also function as a cargo airport where air cargo from both domestic and international countries or destinations come in and out of there. With all three of those elements in place, Nichols can also act as a state and diplomatic airport wherein world leaders and heads of state will arrive there instead of the New Manila International Airport in Bulacan to ensure uninterrupted operations. It can also act as a general aviation, business flights, and air taxi airport too. So in short, Nichols International Airport now caters to domestic flights, air taxis, maintenance flights, cargo flights, business flights, general aviation, and state and diplomatic flights. In the case of Colonel Jesus A. Villamor Air Base, it will continue to remain open and operational as it is as a military base and headquarters for the Philippine Air Force, and will continue to share its facilities and runways with NAIA, or Nichols for short. And also, Terminal 1 of Nichols International Airport must remain open and operational as a fully functioning airport terminal, and must at the same time act as a monument to Ninoy Aquino, who was assassinated at the tarmac of that very terminal on August 21, 1983. It must still continue to bear Ninoy Aquino's name despite the airport being renamed to Nichols International Airport, thereby calling it as Nichols International Airport Terminal 1, Ninoy Aquino Terminal. Now, what about we present to you these countries that maintained their original airports upon the opening of the new and bigger airports? So guys, get ready. Please fasten your seatbelt or buckle up as we take you on a flight to these airports. Cabin crew, prepare for takeoff.
Number 1. Haneda International Airport, Oda District, Tokyo, Japan. One of 2 airports serving the greater Tokyo area, Haneda was Tokyo's principal airport when passenger traffic swelled in the 1960s and expansion problems plagued the airport, which led to the controversial conceptualization, construction, and opening of Narita International Airport, located on rural land in the city of Narita, in the Chiba Prefecture of Japan in 1978. With Narita handling the vast majority of international flights from then on, Haneda was converted to a domestic airport and remained so for 32 years. However, in its domestic era, it handled only 1 or 2 international flights, mostly those of airlines of the Republic of China, aka Taiwan, due to political tensions between the ROC and the People's Republic of China, aka Mainland China. Taiwanese flag carrier China Airlines was the only foreign airline in Haneda, serving Taipei and Haneda's then only US route, Honolulu, Hawaii, with the ROC's second airline, EVA Air, joining in 1999. Haneda slowly resumed limited international flights in 2003 when Japan Airlines, All Nippon Airways, Korean Air, and Asiana flew chartered flights there using Gimpo International Airport and fully resumed international flights in 2010. The Japanese government encourages the use of Narita for leisure travelers, with Haneda for business travelers. Number 2. Itami International Airport, Osaka, Japan. Originally a military base, Itami Airport was Osaka's main international airport. When the travel numbers boomed, need for cargo flights continued to increase and technology evolved further. The introduction of jet-powered planes caused noise pollution among nearby residents, and eminent domain procedures used to expand the airport triggered protests, as was the case for Narita International Airport. With that, the local government of Osaka imposed curfews for the airport operations in the 1970s, causing Japanese airlines to use wide-body planes for domestic flights like the short-range Boeing 747, which concerned residents about the same issue of noise pollution and dangers of crash. To keep up economic ground with Tokyo's airports and solve the issue of overcrowding, as well as prevent a violent struggle similar to that of Narita Airport, the local government of Osaka concluded that a new airport had to be built outside of the city on an offshore location, thus conceptualizing the plans for Kansai International Airport, which was built on an artificial island in Osaka Bay in 1987 and opened in 1994. With Kansai serving the majority of international flights and remaining open 24/7, there were plans to close Itami, but this was rejected by the majority of Osaka's residents and elected officials, who see the old airport as being economically valuable, and the local government left it operational as a domestic airport, which now handles entirely domestic traffic and also caters to cargo, maintenance, and state or diplomatic flights, while still maintaining its international designation. ANA has a maintenance facility there wherein aircraft are ferried locally and from overseas for checks. And here is a Boeing VC-25 of the US Air Force, designated as Air Force One, departing Itami as a state or diplomatic flight. They are the only international flights in and out of Itami. Number 3. Gimpo International Airport, Seoul, South Korea. A former Imperial Army and US Air Base, Gimpo is one of 2 airports serving the Seoul capital area and was the main international airport of Seoul until 2001. The 1980s saw the airport having more flights than usual, necessitating the construction of a new terminal for the 1988 Olympic Games. Following the Games, flights increased and Gimpo was marred by expansion problems as there was barely enough land to expand the airport, despite the midnight to 4 a.m. restrictions having been removed in 1982. This did not solve the problem. Eventually, the Korean government decided to build a larger airport on the islands of Yeongjong and Yeongju, both merged by land reclamation and both under the jurisdiction of the nearby city of Incheon. This airport, christened as Incheon International Airport, was opened on March 24, 2001 and handles almost quadruple to 5 or 6 times the size of Gimpo. Following the activation of Incheon, which can stay open 24/7, Gimpo now handles mostly domestic flights, but also serves a limited number of shuttle international flights, mostly to and from Haneda, Itami, Shanghai, Beijing, and Taipei Songshan. While the Korean government encourages the use of both airports for leisure or business trips, or both, they still recommend Incheon for leisure flights and Gimpo for business travelers, given the said shuttle destinations. Number 4. Songshan International Airport, Taipei, Republic of China, aka Taiwan. A joint civil and military use airport located close to the Taipei city center, Songshan was Taipei's first international airport, serving both international and domestic flights. However, despite a series of expansions, the airport was deemed too small to handle a huge number of flights. This was made more complicated by the introduction of wide-body jets. The ROC government then decided to build a new and current airport in the Dayuan district of the special municipality and later city of Taoyuan, which later opened in 1979 as Chiang Kai-shek International Airport and later renamed to Taoyuan International Airport in 2006. With the activation of TPE, Songshan became a domestic airport despite its international designation, catering to mostly domestic flights within the Republic of China and a select few international flights, mostly to Japan and South Korea, as well as a number of flights to mainland China. A proposal to close Songshan was set up but was turned down by the Taipei city government due to a number of business travelers from the aforementioned countries preferring to use the said airport. As a military base, Songshan Airport houses the ROC's Air Force and is the usual departure and arrival airport for both the President and Vice President of Taiwan. Number 5. Doha International Airport, Doha, Qatar. A joint-use military and public airport, this was Doha's main international airport from 1959 until 2014 and the hub for national carrier Qatar Airways when the new, even larger, higher capacity and technologically advanced Hamad International Airport located 4 kilometers east opened for business. While all commercial traffic ceased that year, the airport site and existing runway remains active, being utilized by the Qatar Emiri Air Force, Raison Jet, Gulf Helicopters, and Qatar Aeronautical College. As DIA is a military base, it is also the base of operations for the Qatar Emiri Royal Flight and also acts as a diplomatic and state visit airport. Qatar Airways also operates a secondary and backup maintenance base at this airport, with its maintenance facilities at Hamad being the primary maintenance base. Number 6. Ataturk International Airport, Istanbul, Republic of Turkey. A major airport of the capital of Turkey, located on the European side, it was one of two international airports in Istanbul and was in service from 1953 to 2019 when the new Istanbul International Airport opened, wherein all commercial traffic were transferred, leaving Ataturk solely for cargo, general aviation, and state and diplomatic flights. It was not large enough to cater to booming passenger demands, and its location does not allow seaside or landside expansion, causing the Turkish government to build a second airport located on the Asian side of the country, the Sabiha Gökçen Airport. After cargo flights relocated to the new Istanbul Airport, located on the European side too, like Ataturk, in 2022, Ataturk is now serving as a general aviation airport. Number 7. Sabiha Gökçen International Airport, Istanbul, Republic of Turkey. Built on the Asian side of Turkey to relieve congestion at Ataturk, this is one of the largest international airports in the country and is now one of two airports serving the Turkish capital, Istanbul, the other being the current and larger Istanbul International Airport located on the European side. While it caters to majority low-cost airlines, full-service carriers, which include but not limited to Emirates, Kuwait Airways, and the like, also fly to and from this airport. Number 8. Don Muang International Airport, Bangkok, Thailand. Then known as Bangkok International Airport, Don Muang is Asia's oldest operating airport, having been built in 1914. It started out as a Royal Thai Air Force base and was occupied by the Japanese before being bombed by Allied forces, after which the British Royal Air Force briefly occupied the area from 1945 to 1946 following the Second World War. A year later, it became a joint-use commercial and military airport upon the launch of domestic flights there by Siamese Airways, the precursor to Thailand's national flag carrier, Thai Airways. Thai Airways would later be a major tenant of this airport for the last half of the 20th century, accompanied by other carriers flying in and out of Bangkok until the opening of the current, larger, higher capacity Suvarnabhumi International Airport on 29 September 2006. The last commercial flights out of Don Muang occurred on 27 to 28 September that year, and Don Muang became a Royal Thai Air Force base once again. However, higher operating costs of Suvarnabhumi, safety concerns over its cracked runways, and the emergence of low-cost carriers caused many to seek a return to and demand the reopening of Don Muang. The airport reopened as a domestic airport and, upon orders of the Thai government and then Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra, low-cost carriers operating both domestic and international routes relocated to Don Muang to prevent congestion at Suvarnabhumi. Today, Suvarnabhumi now handles the majority of international carriers and Thai Airways flights, while Don Muang is host to low-cost airlines, both local and international. On a side note, a golf course owned and operated by the Royal Thai Air Force, Kantarat Golf Course, is located between the two runways since 1952 and is available for play to the RTAF and the general public. Interestingly enough, the course has no fences or walls for separation, and red lights halt play sessions when planes land. Number 9. Subang Sultan Abdul Aziz Shah Airport, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. This was Kuala Lumpur International Airport from 1965 to 1998. After the Malaysian government under Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad concluded that Subang cannot handle future demand, this led to the 1993 construction of the current Kuala Lumpur International Airport in Sepang, Selangor State, Malaysia. With the vast majority of flights now operating at the current Kuala Lumpur International Airport, which opened in 1998, Subang was retained to handle domestic and international flights operated by turboprop aircraft, as well as general aviation and military aircraft. Number 10. Komaki International Airport, Nagoya, Japan. Located in the city of Komaki, this was Nagoya International Airport until 2005. Ever since Kansai's opening in 1994, the airport's main traffic source has been the nearby automotive and manufacturing industries. Like Haneda and Itami, this airport was marred with problems such as overcrowding and lack of land expansion, the latter being that of the airport's location being in a residential area of Aichi Prefecture, limiting the number of flights that can use the airport as well as the hours in which they can fly. Cargo handling capacity of Komaki Airport was not enough to satisfy the demands from the regional economy, and air cargo shifted to Narita and Kansai. The problem was solved when the current Nagoya Chubu Sanctuary International Airport opened in 2005 on Artificial Island, to which all flights are relocated there. Now, Nagoya Airfield is a standby airport and a military base, but still operates as a low-cost carrier hub.
Now, if these countries can have 2 or 3 airports in their capitals operate smoothly and simultaneously, why can't the Philippines also apply the same tactics too?